So Steve, your last book was called How Capitalism Will Save Us. It was written during the depths of the financial crisis. Your new book, Freedom Manifesto, is written in a different time. What's the message of your new book?
The message is it's about where this country is going to go. Are we going to have an era of limited government and opportunity for entrepreneurs? Or are we going to have a government-dominated economy such as you have in Western Europe? But it's really, Matt, about a moral issue. Free markets are always portrayed as, yes, they deliver the goods, but there's kind of based on greed, amorality, hurt people, all the things that we really don't like, but we tolerate it. Whereas government, even though people acknowledge it's bloated, inefficient, government is always seen, well, they're there to help people. What this book does is turn that on its head. It's free markets with sensible rules that are moral, because you only succeed if you meet the needs and wants of other people. So
what about as you say, there's a widespread public perception that Wall Street, for example, is greedy and immoral. Is this just an aberration, or is that, what are you saying in the book about this?
Well, when you see bad things happen in the economy, it's usually the result of bad government errors. What enabled Wall Street to do so well in the last 10 or 15 years was government printing too much money. You could never have had a housing bubble if the Federal Reserve hadn't printed so much money. And when you have properly functioning free markets, the excesses are pretty well wrung out pretty quickly. Now, human beings being human beings, nothing is ever perfect. But in terms of bringing out the best in people, amazingly, free markets do it better than the government. So I don't excuse Wall Street, but what I think we point out is free markets usually, most of the time, work better than governments. And certainly in terms of creating opportunity and abundance, free markets always win against government.
I like in your book how you take examples of companies to illustrate your points about big government and free markets. You mentioned Apple versus Solyndra. Can you explain what that's about?
It's about meritocracy versus crony capitalism. In free markets, Apple went out there, didn't have government support. It went out there and made offerings to the public. It worked. And if it doesn't, Apple shareholders and Steve Jobs would have taken the hit for it. But it's based on meeting the needs and wants of other people. Whereas Solyndra, there, if you please powerful politicians, you get the capital. You get a degree of success. But it's not based on what people actually wanted. It was based on the power of the state, of politics.
There's another section that I really liked. It's called The Moral Power of Cell Phones. Can you explain what the moral power of cell phones is?
Well, what you see here is that free markets are about turning scarcity into abundance. Whether it was Henry Ford with the moving assembly line turning a toy for the rich into something that every working person could afford, or with cell phones 30 years ago. The first one was as big as a shoebox, had a battery life of about 30 or 40 minutes, was just about voice, and cost $3,995. Thanks to free markets, today there are over 5 billion around the world. And they do everything now. But again, that was free markets, scarcity into abundance, turning today's luxuries into tomorrow's commodities.
So your book talks about big government and morality. Can you go as far as to say that the big government in the FDR tradition was actually immoral?
Well, you have a need for a government, but it's limited government. James Madison was right. We are not angels. If we were, we wouldn't need laws or government. Manifestly, we're not. Maybe grandchildren are, at least to a certain age. The nice thing about free markets is, regardless of your background, you can start out and work up the ladder. And it's not just in terms of the economy. There's a whole civil society out there, numerous organizations. You can have a 9-to-5 job, but be involved in this organization outside of the workplace, that organization outside of the workplace, where you take real responsibility, make things happen in your community, or some hobby or whatever it is. It's this multiplicity of choice that allows talents to rise up and develop your God-given talents.